You're not meant to run from the lion for forever.
And I think that's and that leads into, kind of a lot of what we've been talking about so far, in our conversations and in this series is that window of tolerance is something that we're striving to be in, because there's studies that have shown if you're in a state of hyper arousal for too long, that can affect your blood pressure, right? We sometimes do not give enough credit to the fact that our body is so well linked to our emotions. And yes, then there gets to be pain issues, and we can't describe them. We can't figure out why they're there, where they came from. We can't take any pain medication to get rid of it. But then again, there's that pain. We feel it. It's real. It is absolutely, totally, completely real. But it lies more within the plasticity of the brain and our emotional distress because we're stressed or anxious, or we're sticking in that hyper state of arousal, and
Well,
and
because
that can cause problems.
you're not meant to run from the lion for forever.
No, no, no,
You're
that,
not. You're meant to get away from the danger, and then you go into a walled village where you're safe and
yeah.
you shake off all the excess adrenaline and you sit and you return to normal life. When
Hmm.
we're in hyper arousal for long stretches of our time, our body was not built for that. It
Hmm.
just we have fast twitch muscles, and if you train really hard and long in ways that I don't want to, you can also be a marathon runner.
Yeah.
But even then, that thing is only 26 miles, 26.3 or
Hmm.
there's meant to be an end. Our
Yeah.
body is meant to be able to rest.
Yeah. And some people will throw it up there and say, "Oh, well, I come out of that hyper state of arousal when I go to bed at night, when I sleep, right?" But that's not necessarily the case. I mean, there's some people that will grind their teeth all night long because they're in a hyper state of arousal and they never came off of it. They never came out of it. There are people that'll toss and turn. Have you ever had a partner that'll, smack and beat you in the middle of the night? You're like, wait a minute, you're tossing and turning way too much here. What's wrong with that? And I'm like, oh, yeah, I guess I'm in this hyper state of arousal. But we don't say that. We're like, I just had a
Just
bad night's
stressed.
sleep. Yeah. I'm just stressed, or I'm just anxious, or I just have a lot on my plate right now, right?
Or
Um,
in my case, I just wind really tight like a screw. And
yeah.
I just twist that. I just twist and I twist and I hold really tight and I hold on to all of this tension. And I
Hmm.
wake up in the morning and I've cracked my retainers. I have plastic retainers
Oh, wow.
and I've cracked them because I've just clenched
Ooh.
so hard. And my
Oh,
dentist
yeah.
is just like, well, better this plastic than your teeth. Like, fair, but that plastic's kind of expensive.
Yes. Yes, it's very true. Does that ever cause like muscular pain? Yeah. Did you ever get, I mean, sore creek neck,
Oh yeah. No, I basically
headaches,
I just live in like constant tension headaches like
right?
most of my life. Just
Hmm.
and it's hard because I need probably 3 months of just good solid window of tolerance sleep to really release all of those muscles and
Yeah.
I ruptured a disc when I was 24.
Oh, shoot.
So lower back pain is just sort of a thing that I deal with. But like when I do stretches and there are stretches that can release different emotions. So I
Hmm.
can definitely tell I sleep much better when I do those stretches before I go to sleep because
Right.
not only am I like relaxing the muscles, but I'm relieving the emotions those muscles are holding on to.
Hmm.
We sometimes think that, oh, I'm just stressed. For me, I'm a corkscrew, so I'm just holding it all in. Yeah,
Right.
but specific emotions land and get held onto in different parts of our bodies.
Oh, yeah.
And so the
Totally.
different stretches you do can relieve those. So it at least gives your body a chance to maybe reset
Hmm.
and a chance to go, oh, that's not my job to hold on to this. I really can go on
Right.
autopilot and let her sleep because I don't have to hold on to it. So it's there for her in the morning.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, totally.
Have you ever done that?
Hmm.
Where so you can I can tell the difference between when I've corkscrewed slept and I've actually like deeply slept.
Yes.
And And sometimes though in that weird in between sleep and wakefulness, you're just like, oh, the world is such a nice place and
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
things are good. And then it's like your body is like, nope, you're too peaceful. That's not where we live. This is unfamiliar. What
Nope.
about that conversation you have to have with your boss? What about
Yeah.
that conversation you have to have with your partner? What about
Mm-hmm.
that tax thing you have to do? And your brain and you just go from like life is just good to being like
Right. Yeah. Right.
that for me is my example of like hyper arousal
Uh-huh.
when I feel that transition. I
Mm-hmm.
feel that things are good and my brain because things being good is so unfamiliar, my body treats it as danger. It just
Mm-hmm.
does.
Yeah.
And so then it takes a lot of effort to be like, no, I am safe and things are good and I have the tools and it's okay. And so it still takes work to get back to my window of tolerance. But it's just interesting seeing that instinct, that hyper vigilance of I felt like to be safe, I had to guess everything. To be safe, I had to be one step ahead of everybody in the room and I had to earn being loved and I had to earn being enough. And
Mm-hmm.
so whenever I'm calm, my body like nope, there's a danger somewhere. It's a hyena in the bushes. It's
Yeah.
some leopard over there that we can't see. It's here. And you can feel your body immediately tense up and make
Right.
that shift.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's a lot of people, and some of our listeners are probably sitting in the same situation going, oh, yeah, that's exactly how I sleep at night. And that's exactly what happens. I know for some people, it's like here you're going along, and like you described it in the middle of the night, all of a sudden somebody's like, oh, yeah, all of a sudden these intrusive thoughts come in. You're nice and peaceful, and then you're wide awake at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, and you can't go back to sleep because of those intrusive thoughts and those things that we just won't or can't let go of. And it's so hard and it's so difficult to do that. And that's that hyper state of arousal. That's why a lot of people, there's so many people are having sleep issues and sleep problems. Another thing, how many times have you ever, gotten to the end of the day and you put your head on the pillow and you're like, bam, and it just race, right? Your mind is just filling up with all these different things, all these different things you got to go and do and take care of, and all these things, like you said, all the pressured stuff that pops in,
Or
and you're
the
like,
embarrassing thing that happened
yeah,
in second grade, and you're just still beating yourself up about how much of an
like
idiot you
why?
looked.
Why is that even still in there? Yeah. And that's I mean there's so many people with and I hate to use the term chronic because that's really kind of a thing that we have in our country is the idea of chronic, and other cultures don't, they don't have chronic pain, they don't have chronic sleep problems and stuff, but we have so many people that don't ever reset themselves. They don't ever get out of that hyper state of arousal. And so they do. They have sleep problems. Or they're like, "Oh, I'm just like a 2 or 3 hour sleeper and that's about the best I can do." Whether it's work, whether it's your partner, whether it's life in general, whether it's the parents, whether it's the in-laws, all those different things.
Hey, I in this moment I need to interrupt and say,
Yes.
do you know, I heard this stat and was from a mutual friend of ours and was
Uh-huh.
slightly terrified that when you consistently get less than 6 hours of sleep, like in a row, I think it was like
Uh-huh.
72 hours,
Yeah.
somewhere around there, less than 6 hours of sleep, you are essentially functioning drunk.
Yeah.
Like you are functioning inebriated
Yeah.
when your brain doesn't have sleep.
Yeah. And think about how many of us are driving out there on the freeway that way. I mean, isn't that scary?
Terrifying.
Oh my word. Yeah, no wonder why we're struggling so much as a society. No wonder why here we've got higher rates of domestic violence. We have higher rates of
Road
road
rage.
rage. Yeah, right?
Well,
Um,
and also just more family arguments,
yeah, yeah.
more anger at work. Because I mean, okay, I've never been drunk, can't speak from experience, but I have gone off of lack of sleep a lot. That's the equivalent we're working at. When you're that tired, your filter's gone.
Yeah,
When
yeah.
you're exhausted, your patience, your ability to be patient and kind and supportive shrinks.
Hmm.
And so and then you're involved in more situations where you have more guilt, and then you are in, and so then you're kind of just piling on
Yeah.
this awareness. I don't know what I'm trying to
Hmm.
say. Lack of sleep. It's fine. Um, you're operating out of your window of tolerance, and you're kind of heaping on more of this lack of being able to stay in your window of tolerance. There's a fantastic scene. I'm a huge Doctor Who fan,
Oh yeah.
and there's a fantastic scene where the doctor is dying. Hint, it happens a lot. But
Yes.
but
Spoiler alert.
spoiler alert. If you want to watch it, just know it happens a lot.
Right?
But so he's in the TARDIS and he's dying, and he's asking for this protocol to like help him and offer support. And it shows him all of his previous companions and just like this hologram of all of his previous companions. And you see Rose Tyler and he's like, guilt. And you see Martha Jones, more guilt. And then you see young Amy Pond, another one of his companions, like, even more guilt.
Pile on the guilt.
Just
Come on.
piling on. But we do that. We just keep piling it on, thinking we can guilt our way into doing better.
Yeah.
And really, we just guilt our way into more lack of sleep, which then creates more situations where we have no patience, where we get more guilt.
Yeah. 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 Totally. And I think that's right. I hope that people who are listening to this really grasp the concept and the gravity of what we're talking about here. But yes, I have heard that. I have heard that the prolonged lack of sleep causes worlds of problems. And think about parents. How do we parent when we're in that state, right? How do we discipline when we're in that state? How do we? And granted, I mean, back in the day when I had newborn kids, it was a struggle to get sleep because they really didn't
Mhm.
want to sleep. And so, yeah, there's a lot of different factors in which we lose so much sleep and we don't prioritize it. I
Mm-mm.
mean, obviously, the US has not called a national siesta every afternoon,
Oh, I wish they
like
did.
other cultures. I wish that would happen. That would be phenomenal. And I worked with the guy one time at another university, and he actually had a prescription. He had a prescription from his doctor that he was required to take a nap. So he had a 2 hour lunch that the university granted him. And he shut his door. He had a nice recliner in his office, and he would just recline and take a nap. And I'm like, he was able to function. Now, a lot of that was due because of medical reasons, where sleep was an issue. But I think it's really a telltale sign that, yeah, we are functioning on a huge lack of sleep in our world, and it shows. It shows by our actions, our behaviors, our attitudes, and overall how we treat people. We just don't spend enough time in a window of tolerance. And some of us have even forgotten what it's like to be there in the first
We don't know
place.
we don't know what it feels to not just react.
No, no, we
That was
don't.
that was a conversation I had with a friend yesterday, actually. Like 3 hours later, we
Yeah.
started this conversation 3 hours later. We had covered this idea of responding versus reacting.
Uh-huh.
And I think our entire country is just operating from a place of reacting. And I think
Hmm.
that's a really big way to tell that we're in hyper arousal.
Yeah.
Because hypo is you just kind of shut down and you hunker down. You want to be a lump on the log, like
Yeah.
I was feeling earlier.
Hmm.
Hyper arousal is you're just reacting to
Hmm.
every new thing that comes in your space. You are a pinball and you are just flipping that flapper as fast as you can to keep that ball
Yeah.
in the air. And what power there is in slowing yourself down and choosing to respond
Hmm.
instead of react. And I think that I'm not saying it's easy by any means, but even if something comes up and you are ready to react and you just pause and you breathe, even if that is just to Mississippi, and you just go and you recenter yourself, you're then creating situations where you can cascade into your
Hmm.
window of tolerance instead of
Hmm.
spiral into hyper arousal.
Yeah.
And so just giving yourself that moment. And like you said, I think that we underestimate the power of slowing down. We have so much stimuli all of the time
Hmm.
that we miss slowing down and resting. Now, I have some friends that are newly christened parents.
Mm-hmm.
Their daughter is now 5 months old, which is mind-boggling to me.
Oh, wow.
And they're in their 40s. So this
Mm-hmm.
this has happened a little bit later. Fun little surprise, delightful
Mm-hmm.
surprise. So they're not the young, spry 20-year-olds that you get 5 hours of sleep and you jump up the next morning and go, "Yes, I love life. Let's go to
Yeah.
class." They're
Right.
going, "I need 8 to 9 hours of sleep just to wake up in the morning and like put on the same matching socks." This is not a
I gave up on that years ago. I don't put on matching socks anymore.
Um, but it's and so in their situation, like we're in any variety of situations, any caregiver, any
Mm-hmm.
person trying to juggle a lot, us saying, "You just need sleep," probably feels like we just have bludgeoned you with another hammer of responsibility that you
Right?
can't you can't do anything about. So to try and having been in that situation myself, I don't want us to just prescribe it, get more sleep and you'll be fine. Because if
Right.
that feels impossible, then that feels impossible.
It does,
So
yeah.
maybe instead of more sleep, maybe just pick a thing. Pick a thing where you are slowing down. Maybe that's 5 minutes without your phone. Maybe that's laying down on your stomach on the ground and you put your feet up in the air and you just tick tock your legs
Mm-hmm.
back and forth, or you
Mm-hmm.
windshield wipe your legs back and forth. That releases all of the tension in your hip flexors and a lot of your anger. So
Yeah.
just pick a thing and you just windshield wipe your legs 30 times.
Uh-huh.
And then so pick a thing. I'm also going to go on a soapbox for just a second.
Oh, here we go. Go for it. Yes.
We need a village. You
Yeah.
and the things that we say in our society and in our culture in the US specifically of just like, well, you just need to pick yourself up by the bootstraps and you just need to work harder and hustle more and do all the things.
Cool.
No, we were
No.
never meant to do that.
No,
Like,
no.
there are reasons why cultures that still have villages do so well.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you look at our nation, one of the most detrimental things was the invention of the washing machine.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and that's kind of worldwide, but because you went from a bunch of women all going to a river with their kids in a group, so your kids aren't wandering off alone. They've
Mm-hmm.
got a group of kids to socialize and talk with. The women are all chit-chattering, and you have an old grandmother sitting on a lawn chair keeping track of all of it.
Yeah.
So that moms aren't having to do the dishes and do the laundry and vacuum the floors and make sure their kids learn the alphabet and that they get nutritional food and then they're fed themselves. Like, we are meant to have a village.
Yes.
And I also was in a place a number of years ago where I didn't have a village, where
Mm.
my life felt impossible. And
Mm-hmm.
so if you were villageless, it probably feels terrifying with everything else you're carrying around to try and get a village because
Yeah.
our world isn't structured that way.
Mm.
And maybe joining a book club is not your idea of a comforting bit.
Not your cup of tea.
It's not your cup of tea. Any variety of things. But I would invite you. I'm being attacked by my fabric ceiling. I would invite you to set an intention to have a friend in your life.
Yeah.
And it might be as simple as that. Maybe you're not a praying person, maybe you're not a miracles person, whatever it is. But I would just invite you to put out into the universe, I would like a friend.
Mm-hmm.
And whatever kind of friend that is. Maybe for you, it's a I just need to go out with someone once a month for coffee and just shoot
Yeah.
the breeze and not talk about anything serious. Maybe for you, it's you want a movie friend and you guys go
Yeah.
and you watch a movie and you decide dissect it for like 5 hours after the movie.
All right.
Or maybe it's a 3 hour respond instead of react friend that
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna have life's deep discussions with. Whatever it is, find someone who is not your partner and start creating a village because your
Yeah.
partner is not meant to carry all of this stuff for you. They're
Nope.
just not.
Nope.
Hopefully you're connecting, hopefully you're sharing stuff, hopefully you have beautiful depth and connection and
Mm-hmm.
intimacy in a variety of ways, but your partner's not meant to carry all of that. So just
Yeah.
set an intention, smile at some rando on the bus if you feel like that would be a good idea. If you don't feel like it'd be a good idea, don't trust that intuition, trust that instinct. I have a problem where I just smile at too many people, and
There you
my
go.
village has a lot of concerns, so I'm working on tuning in that intuition.
Nice.
But if what we're saying feels impossible, just start somewhere. You don't
Yeah.
have to do all the
Yeah.
things. Please don't do all of the things. You'll go
Yes.
stark raving mad. But it is easier to add one small thing than it is to get rid of something.
Yeah. Yeah.
And sorry, go ahead. I've talked on way too long. It's
No,
all
you're good.
yours.
No, I've got another one. I'm going to add to that. So just one other simple thing that I'll throw out, and I'll try to describe this for our viewers so you can kind of visualize. Um, there are a lot of YouTube videos out there, and if we're talking about the physiology of the body, we have the vagal nerve, right? Longest nerve in our bodies. And so there's things that you can look up on YouTube for a vagal nerve reset, or some people call it the vagus nerve reset. So with this in mind, this is what you can do. And this is great for right before going to bed. And I love this. Or you can do it anytime you feel like you need a nice reset. So what I do is I pick my hands up and I'm kind of stretching a little bit and everything, and then I bring my hands right behind my head, and I'm placing my fingers right at the base of my skull, in which I am touching my vertebrae coming down out of my base of my skull. And I'm not putting a whole lot of pressure. I'm just kind of resting him right there. It looks like I'm leaning back in my chair, right? Relaxing and putting my hands behind my head. So essentially doing that, you're in that posture. You can lean back or you can do this sitting up. I usually like to do it while I'm just, laying in bed, just about getting ready to go to sleep. And with my elbows now that are already up, and in my peripheral vision, I can see both right and left elbow. So without moving my head, what I would do is I would look with my eyes. I'd move my eyes over to my left elbow and I'd hold it there for about, 30 seconds to a minute or something like that. Just looking over there. I'm not moving my head. My head is faced forward, but my eyes move over there to that elbow. And then after about 30 seconds to a minute, you will shift your eyes only over to the right elbow and just kind of look at that right elbow for a while. 30 minutes, minute, 30 minutes, 30 seconds to a minute. Yeah, that'd be a long time. And what's funny is I already see Allison yawning, which is a great sign, by the way, because yawning is a really good indicator that you're coming down off of that hyper arousal. Okay. So after I've looked from both sides, usually some people will find that they, just naturally swallow. Some people will even actually yawn while they do this, which is a phenomenal thing. But if you look from one side to the other, give it about a minute, minute and a half each side, and then you bring your hands down, you will feel in your body a sensation of almost relaxation or a release. You feel like, oh, there's this weight, there's this something that I have just released from my body. And that is an indication and a sign that you have reset yourself and you are now back into that window of tolerance.
If you feel like a wet rag, you did it right.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's so many more online you can look up and you can find to do. So I recommend that you find one that you like and use it, repeat it over and over again.
Or with that, so as an ADHD person, the idea of doing that also gives me anxiety because it's too quiet and it's too still. So maybe while you're doing that, listen to an odd ADHD. It's called 8D music, and there's a variety of those on YouTube. I love listening to Taylor Swift's 8D, but what it is it's like a dual audio, so you're hearing it in both ears differently than if it's mono, like mono sound. And so you can, if you don't have a headset, you can just turn it sideways on your chest and listen to it that way.
Yep.
Or if you have earbuds, that works best because it's playing different sounds in different ears. So it is also basically helping you do bilateral stimulation in
Hmm.
your ears. And so if the idea of like just laying on your bed in silence doing the eye and elbow thing freaks you out,
You're like, why? Your spouse will be like, why are you doing that, honey?
so maybe play a little bit of music, get some of that stimulation while you are also stretching your body. Try it. Maybe it'll work, maybe it won't, but I've found that to be really helpful because it stimulates my brain so my body can relax
Hmm.
and I
Yep.
can I can let go of stuff. Also, this is a fantastic time to plug bilateral stimulation again. Um,
Yes.
So maybe if after you do the eye thing to the elbow and then the eye thing to the other elbow, if you're still feeling a little tense,
Mm-hmm.
just cross your arms over your chest and just tap.
Mm-hmm.
And
One
as you,
side after another.
yep, and just give that tap. And that also signals to your vagal nerve that it's like, okay, we are safe. We can come down. It's moving your brain from panic back into
Mm-hmm.
your body,
Mm-hmm.
which can help a lot.
Yeah. Another thing you can do too, if you're just lying in bed and you're kind of stick straight and your hands are down by your legs, just tap one knee or the other, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. That can be another way to do that bilateral stimulation. Um, this is not a good one for going to bed because it may wake you up, but
If you're
if
waking
you
up and need
do,
help waking up,
yeah, this may be a good way to do it. So in our home, we actually keep these, not the 16-ounce regular bottles of water that most people use, but the 8 ouncers. And you have those 8 ouncers that will freeze beautifully.
mm,
And you put one of those, and they fit really nice in the palm of your hand. And you put one of those in there, it's sending signals up through your central nervous system. And it's going through that vagal nerve and going to the brain, and it's saying, oh, this is really cold. I have to make a choice and I have to make a decision. And if I have to make a choice and a decision with my frontal cortex, well, then the amygdala can't be firing. And if we turn the amygdala off or down, then we are coming out of that fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. And so that's another really good one to use. But there again, if you are going to sleep, I would recommend maybe some of the others to help out with that because those are all good things.
but
So,
if you are feeling like it's not bedtime, it's just you just need to reset, an ice
hmm,
pack in a hand or an ice pack or like a frozen bag of peas or something
yeah,
on
hmm,
your chest is a
hmm,
fantastic reset for your body.
yep, yep. So hopefully some of those things help you guys, and hopefully it's something to where you feel like you can put some of these things into practice. So yeah, I like it. So yeah, we have talked about a lot today. We have done our due diligence in bringing some wonderful bits and pieces of psychology to each and every one of you. I hope, and I love this part. I love that we end this way, making sure that each and every one of you feel like we are talking to you. And we are. You are special. And you are special because you are unique. There's no one else like you in the world. And you deserve to have all of this warm, positive, loving, accepting energy to be with you and to surround you and to be a part of your life so that you can feel and remember what it's like to be in that wonderful window of tolerance, and it will help you be able to function a little bit better. It will help you be able to, uh, feel a little bit more like yourself, because you are amazing, just the way you are, just who you are. And if we can make you or help you be just a little bit better or feel a little bit more like yourself, then we have done some good with what we have talked about today. So, yeah,
I
appreciate.
wholeheartedly agree.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us on this lovely journey of we may not always be where we hoped that we would be. We may not always be showing up the way that we desire, and there is always tomorrow. In the words of Miss Stacy, as quoted by Anne Shirley in Anne of Green Gables,
Mm,
tomorrow is a new day with no mistakes in it yet.
hmm.
And even if there are mistakes, you're still enough. You are still fabulous and wonderful and amazing just the way that you are.
Love that. Love that. Thanks everybody for listening.
Thank you for joining us. Until next time. Now, our disclaimer for this episode: we are not your therapist. We are not your medical provider. We are here to give information and things for you to think about, but please seek your medical professionals if you are in need of support. If this podcast episode kind of feels like it's one half of a conversation. It's because it is. We ended up covering some vastly different ground in the first half of the episode that we will be sharing later in its own episode around boundaries and relationships. But we wanted to make sure that we did continue our conversation of hyperarousal and the window of tolerance. So we are picking up this conversation halfway through. You will get the first half later on.